All of us, the city, the county, the state, our nation, we failed everybody who's looking at Central Texas right now. But right now is not the time to point fingers or to lay blame, because we don't have time for it.
You'll see some of the photos that went viral about how part of Austin was lit up and beautiful and brilliant, and the other part was dark when everything went dark. That's the manifestation of decades worth of underinvestment in communities. This is what failed infrastructure looks like. This is not a city-led effort. This is the community.
Even Austin's city officials are admitting that their response to last week's winter storm, one of the widest spread weather crises in Texas history, was a huge letdown. Homes that were freezing and without water are just getting their power back. Across the state, at least a dozen people died.
Bag's right over there. Yeah.
And stepping into the shoes of officials who were elected to handle crises like this are all volunteer forces. One of them, Austin Mutual Aid, is getting a new request for help every 6 minutes.
It's a pretty fast operation. All of this has happened in just about 24 hours. So you got food, but you've also got plenty of water bottles. What we see here is just like this huge group of people who decided to focus on helping. Our city, our state knew that there was going to be a huge storm. And it's not till Friday that they tell me, oh, it's going to be like a polar vortex. It's going to be this like death storm. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. There's this dark story at the heart of everything that's gone on. I live in Austin's historically Black and Hispanic districts where minorities of Austin have always lived. All of my neighbors, their power went off. The fact is, the city of Austin built most of its hospitals, schools, critical infrastructure in the mostly white neighborhoods. It's truly disaster capitalism at its finest, where you do have maybe attention paid to certain neighborhoods that they wouldn't have because you have these suddenly more affluent, more white elements of our city's population living in that neighborhood. When it started, the first few days, the majority of what we were doing was helping out primarily like the most vulnerable. But we're starting to get more and more folks in the city with like burst pipes. Salvador con Austin Mutual Aid. Hey y'all. Janelle?
Yes.
You're good?
Hey,
so yeah, no worries.
Hey, yeah. It's so great that you guys are doing this. It has been such a,
Yeah?
experience.
They told me your power is still out.
So we don't have any heat and we don't have any water.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So that's why it kind of looks crazy in here. I'm sorry.
No, it's totally fine.
I haven't been able to do dishes or shower ourselves for 5 days. This is definitely going to be the healthiest I've eaten in like a couple of, yeah. The fact that they found like anything that's like remotely fresh and produce is amazing. And these blueberries are just like making my day. Okay, Maya, sit. 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 I'm 6 months pregnant, and I will say that I haven't been drinking the amount of water I probably should, and already the anxiety with all that, and then this on top of it is not healthy, I'm sure. So this is our list of names. Right now, this is not super reflective of where we're at when we're trying to find a baby name, but
this one here,
Yeah.
Kai, means the sea.
in Hawaiian.
Right?
Yeah,
In
Kai
Hawaiian?
means sea in Hawaiian. He just likes to put up stuff on here he knows I'm not gonna like LOD. LOD.
I like Layla.
Melody, let's just take the M off. I was just thinking like, okay, well, what do I do to, everything's like super frozen at this time and super scary. So you're not gonna drive in it, and you just like, what are you gonna do? But drink snow while you're pregnant, hoping it doesn't have bacteria in it. and you've blown it long enough. And then the heat stopped 2 days later. And then that's when it was like, okay, this sucks. And I'm wondering where the city was. Could they have reached out to people saying, this might be an emergency situation? This might be a situation we've never had these type of temperatures before?
You feel like you're a delivery driver until they open the door, and then they're treating you like you're a saint or something. If you feel the urge to just like talk to them a little bit and remind them like that you're actually all just neighbors, and you know that they would have done the same. But you're also really conscious of just feeling like you are not equipped for the role as well as an expert could. And thinking like, knowing that it had to be you, but also thinking, why did it have to be you?
Well, I'm just digging out snow here to put in the bathtub so that we can thaw it out, boil it, and use it. This is how we're getting a lot of our water right now. When this storm hit, it hit with very little understanding of the severity of the storm. We knew it was going to be a big storm, so we had moderately planned. I had, like everyone, we had minimally winterized our houses to prepare for what was coming. But the level of the storm once it hit and the length of the storm was unexpected. We have a power grid here in Texas that's built around almost Texas-specific ERCOT, and the ERCOT power grid supplies the majority of the state, almost 90% of the state. And so when you have an event like this, which is such an unusual event, you would hope that power grid would be prepared for the ultimate sort of test, the backstop on the worst case scenario. But it did not. The ERCOT system failed when it really needed to have those backup measures in place. The Public Utilities Commission, the PUC, knew that these were potential problems, but did not make the necessary changes over the last 15 years to equip our state for these kinds of events. We may never see another event like this again. We may see these events every year. With climate change potentially changing every potential way that we see weather patterns, we may see this may be the beginning of events like this on an annual basis. We may never see it again. Regardless of the fact of that, as public policy makers, public policy is about solving problems. We have the mentality of independence, individualism, that it's best that we rely on ourselves, self-made individualism, the idea that we can do it on our own. We don't need the rest of the country to come in and do this for us. But the reality of that is that if you look at Texas, parts of Texas that are actually not on the ERCOT grid have been capable of handling this storm. They're out of it. They have water, they have power, their businesses are open. This independence, individualism is important, but I also believe that we can't just rely on ourselves as a state to just abandon our relationship with what is working and what is effective in other parts of the country. When we're talking about power, this is a great example of power in its raw form politically, because those that are benefiting from this are benefiting tremendously because they're not having to put more resources into the protection of these emergency backstop measures, once in a generation types of events. So there you go. I can make coffee. Snow coffee. Delicious. This grid failed because there were not enough regulations in place to get the system winterized so that we can get the power that's already there to the people. And that is unacceptable. That's shameful.